I reckon the notes in the bass can seem a little random and confusing if you don't know the piano. So let's just quickly take a look at this keyboard and try to make sense of everything. We all know that there's some white and black notes, but if you look a bit closer, you'll see a group of 3 black notes and then 2, and then that just repeats all the way up and down. Those black notes are called the sharps and flats, and we'll get onto that in a second. And these white ones are called natural notes. So many people's first note they ever learn on the piano is this one, middle C. Now if you look, it's right on the left of a group of 2 black notes. So I can now find that C anywhere on the piano. I just go to a group of 2 black notes and just play the note directly to the left of it, and I get a load of C's. Higher this way, lower that way. So that's the first thing to know really. You have a C in the middle, and then all you need to know is your alphabet up to the letter G. That's it. So here's a C. Going up in this direction, you get C, D, E, F, G. Now there's no H, it just repeats all the way back to A. So there's A, B, and look, there's that C again, so we start again. So going back to this C here, we'll go in the opposite direction, down in pitch. It's actually harder to the alphabet down for some reason, or I find it harder. We get C, B, A, and then we've got G, F, E, D, C. So that's the first thing to know on the piano is your white notes, okay? And then we'll move on to these black ones. These are the sharps and flats. What you'll notice is that there's a couple of places where there's no black note. Right here. And the reason for that, I think, I haven't really got into this, but it must be because if you did have black notes all the way through here, I'd never know where those C's are. Like I got the C because I went to a bunch of 2 black notes and play left of it, that's a C. So the consequence of not having these black notes here is that you have 2 places, B and C, and E and F, where there's no black note in the middle. That's absolutely crucial to get if you're playing the bass because, well, we'll get to that in a second actually. Let me just explain sharps first. So here's that C. All these sharps are these black notes. All it means is that the black note one higher than the white note is a sharp. I'll just quickly play this so you can hear. That note here is a little bit higher than this note here. So that's a C sharp. That's your C and that's a C sharp. This is a D, this one here, so that's a D sharp. There's a D, there's a D sharp. There's your E and F. Again, no black note in between it. So when you go up the notes, you go C, C sharp is the next note, D is the next note, D sharp is the next, E is the next, then F is the next. Notice there's no black E sharp there, it just goes straight from E to F. Carrying on, we've got F to F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B and C. Again, same situation as before with the E and the F. So going in the opposite direction, we get flats. So you've got sharps going up and flats going in this direction. So let's just quickly do that. Here's an A. So going 1 black note to the left, we get A flat, and then G, G flat, F. Again, look, no black note, so it goes F straight to E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A. So you do need to know both names of these black notes. So here's a D here, right? Going up 1 black note gives me a D sharp. Going down gives me a D flat. But that D sharp is also called an E flat, okay? It's a little confusing when you first start, but you'll get it. There's a D, that's a D sharp, which is also an E flat if you go down from an E. Do refer to the sheet that's under the video here, just so you can memorize and learn all this. So what we get then is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's 7 notes. And then add our 3 and 2, that's 5 black notes. We get 12 notes in music, in Western music, and that's it. We have 12 notes to learn. You've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then your sharps. I think that's one of the confusing things about the bass actually, is that why on your bass, when you get to a B, is the very next note a C and not a C sharp? Well, this explains it. There's a B, and there, right there, is a C and not a B sharp. Now actually, if you go, we'll do this a bit later, but if you go up 1 fret by 1 fret by 1 fret on a bass guitar. That's the equivalent of doing this on a piano, okay? Fancy word for this is semitones. So that's actually why if you're on a C, say the 3rd fret of the bass, then the next note, the next fret, the 4th fret is a C sharp, okay? But let's get to that with a fretboard diagram now to explain that better. Have a look at this. So this is a fretboard diagram of a 4-string bass. So you've got your strings here, E, A, D, G, and your fret numbers going across here. These black blobs are the notes. So have a look at this. If we go from A, every time you see a B or a C or an E and an F, they're right directly next to each other. And these sharps, which we'll get onto in a second, are these gaps. So going across from this A here, all the way across to fret 12, where the next A is. Remember I said there are 12 notes in music, so you go, well, that's why that's the 12th fret, because by the time you get to there, you're back to the beginning again. So there's an A. This little gap here is an A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. Now I know I'm calling them sharps, they're flats as well. If you go this way, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, and A. So this direction is up and this direction is down. So notice that, have a look. Anywhere you see a B and C, so here or here or here, they're directly next door to each other. Same with an E and an F. And that's because on the piano, that's white note to white note. There's no black note in the middle. Another thing to look is that if you see, say, an F, G, A, and B here, have a look at your keyboard diagram. You can see there's the black notes, 1, 2, 3. It corresponds directly to that. It's the same as if you look at C, D, and E. There's the 2 gaps there representing those 2 black notes. So the patterns are always the same. Look, A, B, C, D, E, F. I mean, it's the alphabet up to G. That's all you need to know, actually. Alphabet up to G. And then be aware of the gaps being these sharps and flats. So I recommend really getting your head around all of this and just make sure that you really understand the keyboard. I think it's much easier once you have that visual representation. You can take that to the bass and just master all the notes.